My answer to that is learning to learn was the only thing I could do. Things become obsolete. Something like half of what we have taught you, lovingly in other courses, will be obsolete in 15 years. Either we're no longer doing it, or it's been replaced by something else. Consider what I had to live through. I came to Bell Laboratories in '46, and they were running vacuum tubes and so on. It was a very important part. So I started having a mathematical background, studying electrical engineering and what vacuum tubes were and so on. But in some years, I began eating with the physics department, and I ate with the guys while they were perfecting, not when they started it, but when they were developing the engineering side of transistors. I did a great deal of calculation for them on transistors. I obsoleted all the knowledge I knew. I haven't seen a vacuum tube for a long while, except in my friend's office where he keeps going around to show students what a vacuum tube is. You don't see them very often. Now, you can say, well, the original transistors were little tin cans and 3 legs. Yeah. Now there's a million on a chip that size. I've had to endure that. At Los Alamos, we calculated atomic bomb designs on relay calculators, which probably averaged maybe an operation or a second or maybe a second and a half. Round the clock, 6.5 days a week for a month. Sometimes 3 months, but typically about a month to get one solution. Now you can punch in a modern machine, go boop, boop, and there's the answer. I've had to live through a tremendous change. Furthermore, I was educated as a mathematician. I certainly had no course in numerical analysis. I never knew about a computer. I knew a little physics, but Los Alamos taught me some more. But fundamentally, when I went to Bell Labs, because I believed that the computing I did, I should understand the nature of the problem, I had to learn something of the breadth of physical sciences, some chemistry, as well as a lot of physics, some social science, and a little bit of biological science, because the laboratories had such departments, and some social science. I've spent a lifetime getting background knowledge on something. You have to have background knowledge enough to penetrate jargon, which I'll talk about extensively at a later date. Now, one thing you can do is to try and cling to fundamentals, which is very glib, until you ask, what do I mean by fundamentals? Well, I have 2 criteria which are not adequate. One is, from the fundamentals you can derive the rest of the field. Secondly, they've been around for some time. But the fundamentals of amplification, which were vacuum tubes, doesn't count now. True, Hartley, the formula for gain, I have trouble with names frequently. I'll come to it pretty soon. Nyquist. Nyquist formulas are still good. The gain formulas used out of vacuum tubes are still useful, although we have to apply it to other things. Feedback is still the same, but a lot of things are not. Now, I need to discuss science versus engineering. Science, if you are doing it, you shouldn't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it, not in science, because science is supposed to be exploration of what you don't know. Engineering, you shouldn't be doing it unless you do know what you're doing. Well, nothing is pure. Science involves a great deal of engineering, and engineering involves a great deal of new material. So it's a great blend. But what is painful to you, and it's going to be worse, is that the 2 fields are growing together because of a simple fact. Again, going back to when I first came to Bell Labs, when something was discovered in physics, the telephone company was not in that great a hurry to get it developed and into the field. After all, it had pretty much monopoly. Why hurry? Now, as you know, we are not willing to wait for scientific principles to develop. We want it in the field tomorrow. So the 2 fields are coming together like that. And the leisure which we used long ago, and which we are still using to some extent, to develop the ideas first and then apply it, is going to be less and less acceptable. When an idea is first around, you want to apply it. I just read last night that one of the presidents who was at a museum, one of these World's Fair, was shot, and the bullet was in his back, right in his backbone. The doctors refused to operate because they didn't know where the bullet was, but there at the thing were X-rays being demonstrated. They didn't use a new technique, was ready available. They could have wheeled them in there, gotten a picture. No, they were conservative. We don't allow that much anymore. We're pushing very hard, and you're going to be pushed very much to go from idea to developed item and get it on the market rapidly.